let's do a port de bras before we even go to the bar. This is going to come into handy when we do our adagio later and work on the fourth arabesque, which I'll talk more about when we get there. So I'm going to start with my right foot in front in fifth position, allongé the arms 7 and 8. I'll step side toward my front foot on 1, close first and passe partout to the back, 2, my arms allongé. Plie through fourth and looking into the hands and open and close. Then I step toward my back foot to do the other side. 6, 7, and 8. So that's a very standard Vaganova reverence for the beginning and end of class. I think I'm actually doing it half time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Then you have walk in a circle. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Step into fifth. 2, 3, 4. Prepare 5, 6, 7, 8. Now we're going to do fourth port de bras Vaganova style. It starts with a spiral in my torso. I'm not tipping sideways at all. I'm just twisting my spine laterally. And as I do so, my arms open to second position. This is my actual second position. I'm not moving my arms in relationship to my body, just twisting from my waist up. So I have 1, 2. From there, I allongé the arms and look over the shoulder, and here's my fourth arabesque line 3, 4. And you can notice, if I look at it from the front, my shoulders are the same height, my rib cage is parallel to the wall, and I'm not leaning over. First position, recover, twist again, 2, 3, 4. Bring the arms to first, 6. Tendu écarté back, and prepare to do the other side. And finish. Step on the front foot. Twice. Hi dancers, this video is for D, E, and F to do at home. Now you guys have the most responsibility to be keeping yourselves in shape, and also probably the greatest challenge to doing that, because so much of what you should be doing involves jumping and leaping and traveling and all of the stuff that you probably can't do. So this class is going to focus on what we can do in limited space. So we're going to do a lot of stuff on demi-pointe, a lot of stuff on balance, and a lot of upper body and port de bras work to focus on that aspect of our dancing. A lot of times we tend to focus on our lower body, which is really important because that's the stuff that's really hard to fit into ballet technique sometimes, especially if you have mobility limitations, like you're not very flexible or you're not very turned out. I can relate. But our upper body is just as important, in fact, perhaps more so, because that's where the expressiveness of our art form comes from, and sometimes we neglect it. So I'm going to try to focus on that just as much as the lower body in this video. Let's do a port de bras before we even go to the bar. This is going to come into handy when we do our adagio later and work on fourth arabesque, which I'll talk more about when we get there. So I'm going to start with my right foot in front in fifth position, allonge the arms 7 and 8. I'll step side toward my front foot on 1, close first and passe partout to the back, 2, my arms allonge, plie through fourth and looking into the hands and open and close. Then I step toward my back foot to do the other side, 6, 7, and 8. So that's a very standard Vaganova reverence for the beginning and end of class. I think I'm actually doing it half time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Then you have walk in a circle, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Step into fifth, 2, 3, 4, prepare 5, 6, 7, 8. Now we're going to do fourth port de bras Vaganova style. It starts with a spiral in my torso. I'm not tipping sideways at all. I'm just twisting my spine laterally. And as I do so, my arms open to second position. This is my actual second position. I'm not moving my arms in relationship to my body, just twisting from my waist up. So I have 1, 2. From there, I allonge the arms and look over the shoulder, and here's my fourth arabesque line, 3, 4. And you can notice, if I look at it from the front, my shoulders are the same height, my rib cage is parallel to the wall, and I'm not leaning over. First position, recover, twist again, 2, 3, 4. Bring the arms to first, 6. Tendu écarté back, and prepare to do the other side. And finish there. follow this hand up and over to cambrai side. 1, 2, demi-plie, and just a little upper body curve. 3, 4, 2 demi-plies, 5, 6, 7, 8. Rise in port bras. 2, 3, 4. Lower right down into grand plie. 6, 7, and tendu. 8. Same thing in second. 1 and 2. Plie, drop the tailbone down. 3, 4. 2 demi-plies. 5, 6, and 7, and 8. Rise in port bras. 2, 3, 4. Grand plie. 5, 6, 7, 8. Stay there. Fourth position is where it gets a little bit weird. We'll start. Turn your body onto your own quasi-line, so wherever you're holding on to, ankle toward that. 1, 2, 3, 4. And plie. 5, 6, 7, 8. Now notice that my head is not looking toward my hand because my audience is over here. So I'm actually looking away from my arm and then angling my head toward the bar. We're going to do point your inside foot front, port bras forward over the leg. 1, 2, 3, 4. Bras de jambe, now I'm quasi to the bar again. Up and back, 5 and 6 and 7, and close. 8. I'm going to turn my body en face. To do fifth, the same as first and second. Cambrai side, 1 and 2. This time keep your legs straight and fold forward. 3, 4. 2 demi-plies. 5, 6, 7, 8. Rise, both hands. 1, 2, 3, 4. Grand plie. 5, 6, 7, 8. We'll plie releve and balance. While you're holding here, try things such as doing extra port bras, turning your head, releasing one foot, etc., to set you up for the rest of class. All right. Now, a couple things about our port bras and our head in our plies. One is that in every port bras, a couple things about our port bras in general, but also when we're doing a plie exercise. One is that the way I teach ballet port bras is most similar to the Russian school, in which everything initiates from the hands rather than just the arm moving in one piece, which is more characteristic of Cecchetti or Italian ballet. So every movement starts from the fingertips, whether it's an allongé, as in doing your cambrai, or even just releasing your arms from fifth position. You want to begin with the fingers and carry it down, or from first, fingers open, and that leads to the rest of the arm opening as well. Another thing which you can see when I'm profiled to you is that when my arm is in fifth, I don't want to drop my elbow and then rotate it, and I definitely don't want to lock my elbow and then rotate it. Instead, beginning from right here with my fingers, I'm starting to rotate from the shoulder so that my elbow is always in line with the rest of my arm, and it never falls into one of these weird positions. So practice that. You can look at yourself in the mirror sideways and just see if you can judge how your arm needs to come down in order to maintain the line. Here's another tip for doing port bras in a plie combination, specifically in cambrais. When we bend forward, if your arms are long or if your body can bend really far forward, your hand is probably going to want to touch the floor. Don't do this because it looks sloppy. Instead, 1, make sure your shoulder is pulled down in the socket because it could be that you're just doing this. 2, if your arms like mine are pretty long, you might have to bend your arm a little bit in order to accommodate the line of your body. So I'm putting my arms just barely off the floor because this does not look as polished as that. So avoid touching the floor in your cambrai, avoid similarly touching your hand, avoid similarly touching your leg with your hand as you port bras and tendu, and My DEFs don't have any problem with this, but this is something that you see younger dancers do a lot. Avoid touching the floor in a grand plie. Keep the ribs in as you climb. Tailbone straight down, shoulders back. Try to keep the arm moving circularly so it never stops. Incorporate the head. Keep moving the arm. Let go. Keep lifting at the outside of the ankle. Don't transfer your weight just yet. Plie first. Up and over. Follow the hand there. Looking away from the arm. Inside foot points. Keep the shoulders back. Hold the turnout. Up and back. On fox. Keep legs stretched. Release the hands, release the feet, and finish. Head sideways is much easier than turning up and down. Now we're going to do a tendu from first. I'll show it once holding onto the bar and once without the bar. Feel free to do the whole thing without the bar if you choose. Starting in first position, 6, 7, 8. Tendu and allonge the arm, plie and slight forward curve with your head here, and open and close, and then passe parterre, tendu front, back, front, and close, making sure you're incorporating the head, looking over and under. To the side we go point, flex, point, and plie. We're going to allonge and look over the low arm here, 6, and then up to the arm, 7, 8. Then we have the reverse. Allonge, this time the head tips back, but make sure your shoulders remain square. 3, 4, tendu, passe, passe, and close. Point, flex, point, plie, again looking away, looking toward the top arm. And then we repeat it through without the bar, or do the entire thing without the bar. Keep the elbow lifted on your outside arm. Tall through your supporting rib cage. Shoot. Reach long. Make sure you're not leaning toward the bar. Let go. Letting go of the bar can be a challenge, but even more so when you're incorporating some movement of your upper body, because your head weighs 10 to 12 pounds, maybe even more than that. Moving it around is going to affect your balance. And we have to move our head all the time when we're dancing on stage. It's part of our choreography. So that means if you're not using your head at the bar when you're holding on to something, you're not setting yourself up properly to be on balance when you're in the center and later on stage. So always, always incorporate your head into your bar work so that you are challenging your balance from the very, very beginning of class. This next exercise will also repeat twice. The first time is on flat, the second time is on demi-pointe. So we'll start in 5th, 6, 7, 8. We'll port de bras as we pas de cheval. 1, close, 2, and 3, close, 4. So my focus is going to go over for the pas de cheval, and as I envelope, my focus will go under and close. Then I have tendu en croix, 6, 7, 8 will just keep the arm in second for that. Then with your inside leg, but keeping your head turned to the outside, 1, 2, 3, close, 4, face the front, détourné, plie, and stretch. Make sure you have a space that you can actually turn in. Do not turn on carpet. If you are on carpet, then do a big passe releve balance. So then we reverse, pas de cheval, root the arm reaching to arabesque, close with the arm opening to second, and then to reverse, I'm just going to bring the arm into first. Close. En croix, 6, 7, 8, passe, parterre, 3 and 4, plie, full turn. This time I'll stay on point. So then we repeat everything. You can add the big pose arms on the tendus en croix if you choose, and you can also try letting go of the bar when you're on demi-pointe, or even just when you're on flat. Okay, at the end, let's balance in 5th position, and we'll try doing little dégagés to the front, to the back, and even to the side. Make sure 5th is really tight there. For this next one, you can do it without the bar on flat, or you can try it on demi-pointe with the bar, or without. This is a pattern I've taught before. This is from my own ballet teacher. You're going to be doing your dégagés side only for the first half, front and back only for the second half. But the pattern you're doing is the same, and it goes like this. Front, front, back, front, front, back, front, front, back, back, front, front, back. Reverse, back, back, front, back, back, front, back, back, front, front, back, back, front. So what that looks like in practice is when I dégagé to the side, I'm closing front, front, back, reverse it, close back, back, front, back, back, front, back, back, front, front, back, back, front. For the second half, I'm going to dégagé front and back. Front, front, back, front, front, back, front, front, back, back, front, front, back, and then the reverse of that, back, back, front, back, back, front, back, back, front, front, back, back, front. Probably, I'm guessing, the second half where we dégagé front and back will be easier than the first half where you're closing front, front, back, because you have to think a little bit laterally to figure out which leg you're on. So I'm going to show this at the bar on demi-pointe, but feel free to do it in center without the bar, or even without the bar and on demi-pointe if you want to. Do use your head. The great thing about doing this to the side is that all of our positions are changing, so you just have to keep alternating your head. Now, the faster the music goes when we're doing side things, the less I want your head to move, because if you're doing this at a fast pace, it looks like you have a fly buzzing around your head, and it's very distracting. So just a little inclination is going to be sufficient. It's kind of like when we do changement with just a little bit of épaulement as opposed to like a full croisé where it would be if the music were slower. Front, back, back. Now reverse. Front and back. You can add more to rock. Make sure your leg is crossed right behind you. Reverse. Bar shoulder stays down. Tight fifths every time you close. How did you do? Feel free to watch this video at like 0.75 speed or something like that if it was a little bit fast for you, and just keep trying the pattern until you get it. Next we do rond de jambe, and this is a fairly simple exercise, but not necessarily an easy one. We'll start in fifth position, and we'll plie soutenu preparation. You're going to do rond de jambe 4 times, and they're fairly quick. Then on the fourth one, I want you to add a quarter turn and do 4 more facing the side. 1, 2, 3, fourth one turns. 1, 2, 3, fourth one turns. 1, 2, 3, fourth one turns. We'll plie releve to 45 degrees, and we're going to take 8 counts, 1 and 2 and 3, counting that speed, to do a rond de jambe at 45, plie releve to 90, and do your grand rond de jambe in the same amount of time, finishing with a plie passe parterre to reverse everything, and that's it. Now, when you're doing the part on demi-pointe, challenge yourself to let go of the bar and do that just on your balance, or at least holding on. Now I know 8 counts isn't a whole lot of time to like actually find your balance in each position, but this is just a start. Feel free to stop the music after this and just try that rond de jambe by itself, taking as much time as you need. FYI, my legs are not going to go nearly as high as yours will. Remember that we have a goal of every single person, level D and up, having 90-degree extensions minimum, and if you're already there, challenge yourself for shoulder height or head height. Set a goal for yourself and use this time to work to achieve that goal. Here we go. things I noticed on me during this exercise is one, how my working foot reacted to the rond-de-jambe entournant. You'll notice in the video that at certain points I kind of shift my weight onto my working foot and use it as a kickstand. This is bad. I have to make sure that I'm fully controlling my movement with my supporting leg alone, which means not just like whacking my leg and letting my body move with it. Instead, as my leg opens to second, I have to control the end of that turn, if you will, like the deceleration or the stop, with my supporting leg's turnout. So that comes from just trying to feel how much you have to lift your heel and how you have to put it down in order to make that a really controlled motion there. Don't let your body swing over your supporting leg or over your working leg with you. Another thing I notice is while I'm trying to balance, my toes are trying to curl up. Now, I think this is because I'm weak, because that's not something that my toes used to do. My toes are really good at spreading. But because I'm not as strong as I used to be in my calves, my toes are trying to do this like clench thing, and I'm feeling it up into my calf, which shouldn't happen. So while you're practicing your balance, maybe take off your shoes and try to feel your toes spreading out and your medial malleolus here pushing over the front of your demi-pointe in order to align yourself on your balance better. Now this happens more on my left foot than my right foot. My right foot happens to be the more flexible one, so I can really push my ankle bone forward over my toes, and it stays in place a lot better, and my toes don't feel that sense of tension that they do on my left. So if you're having that feeling of your toes clenching and trying to grip, try doing some exercises where you're pushing over your demi-pointe and trying to maintain that, or even get someone to stretch your feet. Remember that you have to pull away from the foot as well as down in order to stretch safely. And in addition to that, while you're having your feet stretched, have that person pull gently on just your toes as well to get that toe mobility. Exercise combines frappe, petit battement vers tout serré, and rond-de-jambe en l'air. We'll start with it. 5, 6, releve and dégagé without a plie on 7, hold 8. Make sure you're not shifted over in your rib cage, but stay really tall, and feel free to test your balance throughout this exercise. We're going to do 4 frappes devant. You can do your first one as a double if you choose. 1, 2, 3, 4, battu serré, 5, 6, 7, open side 8. 4 side, 2, 3, 4, petit battement, 6, 7, 8. Frappe en croix from the back, twice. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Rond-de-jambe en l'air, en dehors twice slow, and 4 times quicker. Then everything reverses. Some notes on these movements. 1, you'll notice my frappes were not very strongly accented. I don't want you to do them like me. I want you to have really sharp, fast motions with your feet, trying to hold the extended position as long as you possibly can. 2, position of your foot. In petit battement and frappe, let's do basic coup de pied and coup de pied back for all of these positions. 3rd, rond de jambe en l'air. Always have a little bit of resistance in the foot as you are extending, as if your foot is wrapped around a TheraBand and you're having to pull against something. This prevents you from just whacking your knee. And that's actually true of frappes as well. I don't want to just lock out completely with a relaxed thigh. I have to keep those muscles tight. And last of all, battement serré. I actually looked this up to see what exactly is the direction of the foot when we serré to the back, because I've learned it both ways, sideways and backward. And it turns out both are correct. Battu serré can be done opening the leg to a tiny, tiny second or to a tiny, tiny fourth. So Odette in Act 2 of Swan Lake does battement serré with her foot slightly opening to what would be second position or an écarté line if she were to extend her leg. However, I believe it's Les Sophides has a battu serré that opens forward, which is a lot harder. So I'd like you to just on your own experiment with doing serrés, trying to feel the sideways motion of the foot, both front and back, as well as the forward or backward motion of the foot. We're still trying to isolate the movement to the knee and down. So I'm not trying to open my thigh at all. But because our knee has a little bit of rotation and a little bit of room to move around when it's bent, we can do these really tiny, fine muscle movements when we're doing petit battement. Développé at the bar. We're going to do a little bit of balancing and a little bit of working on some specific lines. Now, when you're working on being able to find a sustained balance on demi-pointe, I am not an advocate of hopping necessarily. I think that can lead to some bad habits. It's a very difficult thing to stop doing. And you've got a bar here, just grab the bar. Definitely do not just lower your leg. If you're like here, you lose your balance, oh no, don't do that. Grab the bar. Or lower your heel to flat and then rise up again. What that does is it forces your body to maintain that position and balance and fight through the off-balance bit rather than having to reset and start over. So when you see really good balancers, whether on demi-pointe or point shoe or even on flat, whatever position they're holding, it's pretty stable from, let's say, the hips up. Where all of the movement and compensation comes is actually in the ankle. Your ankles are capable of adjusting to your balance. And as long as you're really strong and maintaining good alignment and muscle control, it's okay for those little adjustments to happen. Even on point, you'll see dancers who can really control their balance from their ankle rather than from your upper body, which is a lot less precise. So challenge yourself in this exercise. My legs will not go very high, but your legs should go way, way up. 6, releve 7, 8. We'll développé 1, 2, you're there on 3 and you just balance. 4, 5, 6, fondu, allongé, and lift the leg higher. Assemble, so we're pulling up to 5th again. Same thing to this side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, close back 8. We'll développé back 1 and 2. Then we're going to turn 3/8. So face the bar plus 1/8 here to be in 4th arabesque croisé, still on demi-pointe, and we'll penché here. Make sure you keep your legs crossed because you don't want to do a crotch shot to the camera. Then we're going to continue to balance in 4th arabesque. I'm going to show you a close-up of this in a moment. 5, 6, 7, 8. Close on demi-pointe here. Step away from the bar and balance outward. Balance with your back to the bar. Now I'm going to be able to pique toward the bar in attitude and hold 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and fondu out. Now I can reverse the whole thing, mostly. I'm going to do the développé back inside the same. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, fondu 7, releve 8, side 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. When I go to the front, 1 and 2, I'm going to turn toward my bar and place my heel there to cambre back with some support. You can really, really arch from this position because you can have this real sense of lifting up in your core and then bending. From here, we have to lift our leg, close 5th. We're going to balance, facing the bar, away from the bar, and I want to balance in croisé attitude devant. So just adjust yourself to how you need to position yourself with whatever you're holding on to. So I'm going to balance here, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. There it is. Okay, so couple notes. Thing 1, and this is like the important and anatomical thing, is when we balance al second, we don't want to shove the pelvis into a posterior tilt like this. I've got to maintain the length and lift on my supporting side in the hamstring. So I'm not going to shorten this muscle, I'm going to lengthen and lift it. Okay, that's the really important thing, especially as you fondu, no tucking. Now for upper body stuff, 4th arabesque is a hard line to find because we tend to lift our back shoulder, especially if you have some restricted mobility this way. So I've shown this image before. This is from Classical Ballet Technique by Gretchen Ward-Warren, who we know was a former teacher of Miss Leslie. I'm going to zoom in on it. You can actually still buy this book. It might be out of print, but it is available on Amazon. Okay, so on page 49, there's a really great shot of the 4th arabesque line as seen from straight forward. You can see that her shoulders are really the same height as one another,
and the twist is happening in her torso. So it's a sideways spiral rather than a tipping over. So the fourth arabesque line from quasi looks like this, and here it is if you were looking at it straight on.
So fourth arabesque is the same thing as first arabesque, just your quasi instead of effacé. So what I want to find is this feeling with my torso rather than this feeling with my torso. So I'm going to keep my my upstage shoulder pressing down, and if anything, almost think of like doing this. It's going to correct you more than anything else. You can also just try spiraling and finding that line and seeing if you can get there and then up. Then you can try it facing a diagonal. So here's my square line, here's my extended line with a tendu, and then lifting my leg up. The head is actually going to tip up and over that way. Fourth arabesque is one of the most beautiful lines in all of ballet. I love it with all my heart, but only when it's done well. So keep that back shoulder really down, neck really long, and pull the arms way apart. Okay, attitude devant. You know what's coming. Stick your leg up, and we're going to do little pulses with our heel to try to get our turnout. So leg up and attitude front, and we're going to do 8 pulses. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then hold it, squeeze, extend the leg, and lower. Let's do the other one for good measure. Pulse 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Squeeze it up there, extend it, and lower. Okay, for some reason, the muscles that control our turnout and attitude, we just don't use them the same way in other positions. At least it seems that way to me. So make sure you are practicing getting that heel to lift in attitude. I think doing these little heel pulses is a really great way. I feel like my left leg used to be a little better at this, but regardless, here we go. This part's different. Find quasi. Balance it. Everything reverse. grand battement. You can do this with or without the bar, on flat or on demi-pointe. I'm going to do this on flat with the bar because my toes are not used to standing on demi-pointe this much and they're a little bit tired. So I'm going to show it on flat, but you can do it with a little bit more of a challenge. I have simply 3 slow grand battements, 3, 4, 5, 6, quicker, 7, and 8. Same thing to the side, and I'm exaggerating the head, so I'm really turning my head all the way on the slow battements, and then I'm going to put my head forward on the quick ones. Plie as you finish that last or 5th grand battement side. From here, you have 12 counts to do preparations for a fouette. You can do this slow, 4 counts each, or you can do them 2 counts each. And if you really have a clear, safe space, and you can do the preparation safely, and you're in E and F, you can actually add in some turns. So what we need to see is our retiré devant position, plié devant, relevé au second, and back in. You can do however many you can fit into 12 counts. Then you have 13, 14, 15, 16, just to balance and close back or close back. Then everything reverses, including the fouette preparation. So I'm going to show it sideways. 1, 2, 3, hold 4. 1, 2, 3, hold 4. I'm trying to keep my knee, or my toes rather, the same height as they go from back to side. I'm also trying not to get stuck in the derriere position. Instead of thinking position, position, I'm thinking more of like a stirring motion. Like my foot is stirring a giant pot this way, so it never stops moving. Back, side, in, back, side, in. In fact, my knee doesn't fully straighten in arabesque, and that's actually fine. Same thing en dehors. You don't have to fully straighten your knee in the devant position, and you definitely don't want to stop and then open, because what is that going to do to your momentum when you actually turn? Think of it more like this circular stirring motion, front side, and you're going to have a little bit more smoothness and coordination in your fouette, whether you're turning or not. Okay, so figure out how you're going to set yourself up for these, flat or demi-pointe, with or without a bar. If you're doing fouette preparations without a bar, kudos to you, that's really hard. And here we go. take some time to practice balancing on one foot, whether on flat, demi-pointe, or in pointe shoes today. If you're doing a 30-day balance challenge, make sure you do that for at least 10 minutes every day for 30 days. Yeah. So let me know what you're doing to stay in shape, whether it's this class or other classes you found online. I know some people are following live streams on Instagram or on YouTube. That's all really, really great stuff. But make sure you're also doing something cardio, and make sure you're putting on your pointe shoes on a regular basis just to keep your muscles strong. Also take some time to stretch all your major muscle groups, upper body and lower body. I do plan to do a stretching video later this week, so stay tuned for that. See you when I see you. Stay healthy. Bye.